Over the years, many historical questions have been answered, but the discoveries in today's video are the exact opposite. They leave the experts baffled and show once again how little we know about the past. Where is the legendary tomb of Cleopatra hidden? Are we the first intelligent species on Earth? Was Jesus Christ really the Son of God? Well, in truth, our ignorance begins with much simpler questions. When did the first humans come to America? In 2021, a major tremor rippled through the ranks of researchers. They discovered something that pushed back the timeline of the colonization of America by several millennia. Tracked down at the edge of an ancient lake in White Sands National Park in New Mexico, we are looking at a series of human footprints. And although they look like they were recently pressed into the ground, radiocarbon dating of the seeds of an aquatic plant showed that the prints are actually 21,000 to 23,000 years old. The problem: this is a period in which humans could not have reached North America at all. The path was blocked by massive ice sheets at the time. Against this background, another exciting conclusion emerges. The first settlers must have arrived in the region much earlier. Before the 61 silent witnesses were discovered, experts believed that man first set foot on the American continent 13,000 years ago. In view of the scarcity of information, however, the question of the exact date of the first immigration remains controversial. This tunnel leads to Cleopatra's tomb. She is considered one of the most beautiful women of all time, who turned the heads of the most powerful men. And as befits a true heartbreaker, Cleopatra has been gaslighting mankind for almost 2,000 years, because no one knows where the last pharaoh's tomb is hidden. But this could soon be a thing of the past, because archaeologist Kathleen Martinez is certain that the tunnel under the Taposiris Magna Temple leads straight to the lost tomb. Located 13 meters below the temple, several coins showing the likeness of the famous ruler have already been found in the underground passage. And it is possible that the researchers will not only find Cleopatra's remains here, but also those of her lover Marcus Antonius. However, there are also skeptical voices. Egyptian pharaohs were not usually buried in temples or tunnels. Homo naledi was 100,000 years ahead of us. How did the fossils of Homo naledi end up in the inaccessible Rising Star Cave in South Africa? Did the representatives of this species of the genus Homo die here? Or were their lifeless bodies deliberately deposited here, and thus buried? Paleoanthropologist Lee Berger is a strong advocate of the latter theory. He and his team have extensively investigated the Rising Star Cave and brought the previously unknown species to light in the first place. In addition to the remote location in which the fossils were found, Berger believes that two other circumstances speak in favor of the burial theory. On the one hand, the skeletons have no bite marks from wild animals. They are practically intact and were apparently laid down carefully. On the other hand, and this is even more exciting, one individual was probably accompanied by a stone tool, so Homo naledi may even have believed in life after death. The tomb of Jesus has been opened. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem claims to stand on the very spot where Jesus Christ was once buried. A resurrected Messiah, and 2,000 years later, Jesus' tomb was to be reopened for the first time in centuries and reveal something that turned the researchers' worldview upside down. Until then, experts had believed that the world-famous burial chapel was built in the 12th century. Well, you can be that wrong. Analysis of the building material showed that the church was built around the year 345. As part of extensive restoration work, researchers from the Technical University of Athens had removed the marble slab on the Holy Sepulchre of Christ, whereupon, surprisingly, a second slab came to light. A chemical analysis of the mortar used ultimately provided the new dating. Did Jesus have a brother? Sometimes a single sentence is enough to spark a heated debate. Jacob, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. This inscription adorns the so-called Jacob's ossuary, a limestone bone box that was allegedly discovered some time ago in the Tel Aviv Antiquities collection. However, the controversial history of the artifact's discovery is said to go back even further. It is said that it was once discovered by grave robbers in Jerusalem and turned up in the antiquities trade in the 70s. After the object was made public, It was checked for authenticity by a team of experts. The experts came to the conclusion that the ossuary inscription had been added later, so we are dealing with a forgery here. However, this assessment has been seriously questioned by other scientists. Some hair-raising mistakes were made during the investigation, and this one inscription is no different from the others that are considered authentic. Ever seen a baby Buddha? Generally speaking, we tend to locate Buddhism in East Asia, so what is a centuries-old Buddha statue doing in Australia of all places? What's more, why was it depicted as an infant? Shane Thompson and Leon Deschamps were astonished when they discovered the small bronze figure in Shark Bay, in the west of Down Under. Unable to explain the unusual location of the artifact, they took the baby Buddha to an expert. He confirmed that this was indeed an authentic relic from the Ming dynasty. While he estimated that the object had been buried for at least 100 years, he was unable to provide a clear answer to the question of how it came to Australia. Probably the most exciting explanation is that it was carried on the Ming treasure voyage of 1421, when the Chinese emperor sent the explorer Zheng He out into the wide world. However, this would also mean that the Chinese visited the region almost 200 years before the Dutchman Dirk Hartog. Does this medallion show a UFO? The ancient Egyptians have long been suspected in certain circles of having been in league with extraterrestrial beings. While the aliens revealed hidden knowledge and futuristic technologies to the inhabitants of the Pharaonic Empire, they were worshipped as supernatural deities in return. But that's not all. Some aliens are said to have taken the throne themselves and ruled the people as pharaohs. This would apply in particular to Akhenaten, who was always depicted with a strikingly long, strangely deformed skull. No less strange is the medallion that the king once possessed. This is adorned with a strange object that some observers interpret as an extraterrestrial spaceship. The new chamber is just the beginning. In view of the fact that the gigantic pyramid of Khufu has adorned the Giza Plateau for 4,500 years, one might think that the structure has now been fully deciphered. But the exact opposite is the case. Most of the stone giant is still unknown to us. The latest sensational discovery does nothing to change this. At the beginning of this year, researchers discovered a new chamber here, over 2 meters high and 9 meters long. However, experts believe that only 10% of the Great Pyramid has been explored. Nobody can say at present what exciting secrets lie dormant in the remaining 90%. How old is the pyramid really? Did your pulse just jump when you heard the 4,500 years claim? Yes, we also know that the official age dating of the Pyramid of Khufu is sometimes heavily disputed, and the results of a recent analysis don't really help to put people's minds at rest. We remember, all that has been found in the Great Pyramid so far was a granite ball, a copper hook, and some fragments of cedar wood. Most bizarrely, the wood was thought to have been lost for decades, as it was stored in the wrong section of Aberdeen University Museum. In 2020, however, it was rediscovered and scientifically examined, with the result that it is 500 years older than the pyramid. The researchers' vague explanation is that the Egyptians probably reused the wood for half a millennium because it was so valuable. This skull does not match the evolution of humans. How do you deal with fossils that simply don't fit the evolutionary history of humans? Once discovered near the Chinese city of Harbin, the enigmatic ancient skull raises precisely this question. The current state of research only indicates that we are dealing with a previously unknown species of human, Homo longi, or dragon man. Strangely enough, the fossil exhibits both prehistoric and modern characteristics. The place of Homo longi in the human family tree is still completely uncertain. Have we misidentified the species? From one skull mystery to the next, the 1.85 million-year-old fossils excavated in Georgia show that representatives of the Homo genus reached Eurasia 300,000 years earlier than assumed. However, one find differs markedly from all the others: the unusually well-preserved Skull 5, which has some special features that have not yet been seen in any other Homo fossil. This refers in particular to the small internal volume of the skull, in combination with a widely protruding snout and large teeth. This strange circumstance led scientists to assume that the species Homo rudolfensis and Homo habilis were in fact both Homo erectus, a theory that is still being debated. The gate that leads to the gods. A few years ago, local tour guide Jose Mamani made an astonishing discovery near Lake Titicaca in Peru. Someone had carved a large, mysterious stone gateway into the side of Mount Hayumarca. Christened Aramumuru, the most exciting myths and legends have since grown up about the construction of the mystical gateway and its use. Over the past 4,000 years, the region has been home to a number of indigenous communities, including the legendary Inca civilization. The Incas believed that Lake Titicaca was the birthplace of the world and that the spirits of the dead return there. Aramumuru is believed to have served as a place of pilgrimage and worship for the Incas, but that's not all. While fleeing from the Spanish, an Inca priest is said to have once placed a golden disc in front of the gate. It then opened, the priest walked through, and was never seen again. The oldest traces of pre-humans. 6.05 million years ago, an individual walked across what is now the island of Crete, which was still connected to the mainland at the time, and left modern science with an absolute sensation. In fact, these are by far the oldest known traces of a pre-human. They are another 2.5 million years older than the footprints left by Australopithecus afarensis Lucy in Tanzania. At the same time, the newly discovered tracks also reveal a lot about the anatomy of their creator. It had a close-fitting, robust big toe and shortening side toes. Compared to Lucy, the sole of the foot was shorter and the heel narrower. Sensational find or fake? Once discovered in the Transylvania region of Romania, the clay tablets of Tartaria are decorated with so-called Vinca signs. This is a deviation of the Danube writing system, which is attributed to the Vinca culture that gave it its name. The age of the artifacts is estimated at around 7,500 years, assuming we are really dealing with artifacts and not fakes. The fake theory was put forward by Erica Kasim, but it has received little support and is dismissed as unfounded by most researchers. The precolombian 10 Commandments, the so-called Decalogue stone, has a problem because it shouldn't actually exist in this form. Because while the boulder contains a shortened version of the 10 Commandments in ancient Hebrew script, it is located near Los Lunas in the U.S. state of New Mexico. Some experts argue that the inscription is genuine and actually dates back to ancient times, but others believe it is a modern hoax. Press subscribe and never miss an exciting video again.